when you open, you let the light in, right? You open, that's kindness, right? You're giving yourself kindness. You're learning how to receive it. And many times people don't know how to receive. You know how to give, you know how to be taken from, you know how to give. But when it's time to receive, you just you don't know how to do it, right? And you don't know how to do it because you never had it, right? It's not something you got often. So when it happens like that, you have to teach yourself how to do it. Just like you had to teach yourself to walk, you had to teach yourself to eat, to sleep. You know, everything you had to learn, you had to teach yourself, right? Someone had to teach you, you had to learn. It's the same thing with learning how to receive. And that kindness it matters. And then when you allowed, right? You gave yourself grace. You allowed yourself to receive. You allowed yourself to understand. And receiving can also just mean receiving the information. You allowed yourself to receive the kindness. You allowed yourself to take the knowledge, the wisdom, the information that it's trying to teach you. That is receiving. When you start understanding that, that receiving doesn't always have to be gifts and money and all those things. But when people hear that, a lot of times that's what they first think of. But when someone shares wisdom with you, when someone comes and helps you, uh, like Work Play Live came on for the Creator Launch app. It's amazing. I'm so stoked for this. But uh, there's a learning curve. There's lots of things to learn. Lots of it's going to be just playing with it. Lots of it's going to be asking questions. But you know, he showed up and said, "Hey, let me help you with this. Let me walk you through it." You know, when someone shows up with that kind of kindness and shows up with that amount of grace and says, "I understand that it might be a little tricky, it might be some things that you don't know, so I'm here and I want to help you." That's the same thing. But if I had said, "No, I'll figure it out on my own, whatever," they're gonna be like, "Okay, whatever," right? Like you're pushing that away. But instead of taking that moment and saying, "Yes, thank you. Thank you for showing up and helping me." Learning how to receive it's a two-way street, right? And in that receiving, him showing up and doing that also was receiving feedback, receiving how to make it easier for people because not everybody's a tech genius, right? And that two-way street is the same thing in every single thing you do, right? When you're giving, you can give all the time, but learning how to receive, just because it doesn't come in every single thing. As soon as someone says receive, they're thinking free, something, gift. Somebody has to buy you something financially. It's not. Wisdom, knowledge, kindness, sincerity, generosity. It's not always tied to just one thing. But when you're giving in what, because you give this way usually all the time, doesn't mean you have to receive this way. You're going to receive in so many other ways. But once you learn how to do it, that it flows. It constantly flows. The ideas come to your brain. Those flashes, that's the universe saying, "Oh, you're ready to receive. Okay, I see you. You've been giving. Now you opened up the door to receive." Now those inspirations, those ideas, that's where my programs come in. When I tell you my 12-week program for my coaching, that's the group coaching, but it's so custom. It's so good. Like it's um, yes, we're teaching in a group, so we're teaching stuff like this, how to apply it in everyday life. But it's also so customized. I want to say homework, but it's not homework. You get your emails and there's that constant clarification. You get the ideas so that you're coming with the questions that are actually going to help you. They're actually going to show up for you in your life, how we can apply it in your life, which is why I limit it. I won't do any more than 12. 12 is the magic number, um, so that no matter what, throughout that 12 weeks, everybody gets their turn, everybody gets their space, and everybody's going to have clarity at the end of the path. And I did that really important for that, right? And when you learn how to do it, this process, it takes time and it's going to have questions and there's going to be things, um, just like anything is a learning curve. But in doing that, we're all teaching each other. And when we start learning that and opening to receive, the way things come in and the way things that are so helpful when you're gracious enough to receive it, um, creates that space for you, and it gives you the ideas and allows you the space to move forward. And that's why it's like, what are you choosing to keep? What are you choosing to release? Well, obviously, what do you want to release? The negativity and all that crap. You ain't got room for it because you're too busy filling out with ideas and ways you can help yourself and other people, ways you can share the joy and the love, right? So like, I mean, there's no question. There's never going to be a question. Of course, get rid. I don't, I always have this thing that says always forget. Um, I always remember kindnesses. I never forget, and I forget injuries, right? If there's anything I want to remember, it's the kindnesses. I don't like, yes, we have to learn from the injuries, but we don't have to hold on to the feeling. We know it happened, whatever. Learn for it, hold on. It was a kindness because it taught me to be stronger, better, more efficient, more critical in the way I think, how I process it. It showed me the pattern. There's always something benefit, right? I always choose to see the silver lining in every way. And if I can teach more people that, then they're going to become more self-aware. And when you're more self-aware, you're more empowered. You know how to learn. You teach yourself how to learn. You learn better, and it doesn't. There's no better or worse. It's what works for you. But once you learn how you learn, right, you can take in anything and you can do it in anything that you do. And it's so wild because whatever matters to you, when you learn how you work, your patterns, your triggers, your all those things about you, you know how to take it in. You know how you're going to store it. You know how you're going to share it. Um, and it's such a big thing. And if more people understood that, this world would be a way better place. So, movement doesn't always mean action right away. Sometimes movement is just allowing something to pass through. That emotion that isn't yours, that emotion that you think you should have because that's what the whole world tells you should have. No, it doesn't matter. It's how you feel, is what you think you should have. And are you putting an expectation on you that is maybe just a little out there, a little much? Sorry, I got to keep an eye on the time. And then, so these are some of the tools. I kind of broke them down already, but I want to go. Hopefully, these will be helpful. Notice shift, right? Like when it shifts, you notice it, right? What am I feeling? Like immediately when something feels out of whack, it doesn't even matter whether it's kindness, anger, fear. This is just the tool, and you're going to apply it in each instance whenever these things happen, if that makes sense. So you can ask yourself, what am I feeling? Right? What is it? Can I name it? Because sometimes you can't even name it. So it may take a little minute to spend time naming it. But guess what happens? When you take that time to name it, you're forced to pause. Because if you don't know what it is and you got to pause, so say you're feeling angry and you're really angry in this moment, but you're like, what am I feeling? Right? Well, you're trying to figure out what it is, you immediately go from anger to curiosity, right? Because you're teaching yourself. So if I can get you out of anger, rage, all of those things to what is this I'm feeling? Where do I feel it? Where in my body do I feel it? Is it in my shoulders? Do I feel pain here? Am I feeling nauseous, sick to my stomach? Is my brain starting to hurt? Is my eye starting to twitch? Where am I feeling it? And what is it trying to show me? That is a tool. What, where, why? Why is always going to be a thing. And don't get stuck on the why because I've done that too. Sometimes there's some things out there that you're just not meant to know, or it's not worth you hindering your whole life. But if it's about you and your own personal accountability, there's always a reason to know. But when you get stuck on the why would somebody else do that, sometimes you have to just leave it at we can't know everything because when you trust me, I've got caught on the whys all the time. But when you know your own why, you can be personally accountable and you can do something to change that, right? So um, we're not here to fix, right? We're just getting curious, and that is the tool, right? We want to notice the shift. Um, what am I feeling? Where do I feel it? And what is it trying to show me? And that is essentially the pause. right? That is that pause. But the pause can't just be take a breath. Take a breath, get curious. How am I feeling? What is going on? And that gives you space. It gives you space to breathe. It gives you space to understand, to process, because you've already been learning all the other stuff. So when we get to this space, this tool becomes exactly that. And you're doing it as fast as you are breathing, pretty much, right? And yes, it takes practice, but I promise you. And sometimes that's why I talk about the journaling. You don't have to always just what is it? And then you're trying to write it down, and your brain's going faster, and you get lost in the sauce because you missed what it was because you're too busy trying to get everything right and spelling mistakes. Get out your voice recorder on your phone. Get out your Google Word docs, whatever it is, voice recorder, and spew it out. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, right? Ask yourself those questions and spew out the answers. Okay, and yes, it's gonna look like crap. It's gonna, especially if you do voice to text, it's gonna give you a laugh in the end too because voice to text is evil. But it'll teach you to kind of laugh at yourself a little bit. But when you go back and you read through it, because in the initial anxiety or whatever it is in trying to get it down, what you allow yourself that when you do that is the space. You allow yourself space to just say it. But when you go through and read it, most it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Because you were upset or you were um, in anxiety in that moment, right? This tool is teaching you how to reflect it. So if you can't write it fast enough, don't let that be your disaster or your downfall. Record yourself, then go back and read it or go back and listen. Because literally your brain will go disregard, disregard, not important, doesn't matter. Whoa, what's that? And that's, I'm telling you, every single time it will happen. Whoa, what's that? And when you do that, okay, where does that come from? Why was I feeling that? Where did I feel that in my body when that's happening? Is that when my eye was twitching? What is that telling me? That tool is such a huge thing when used properly, and it doesn't matter um, what of the emotions of any of them. When you can just use that tool at any given time, it's going to benefit you because there's always going to help you get the answer. And then the pause, obviously, the pause is the initial before the shift, but it happens in so many different stages, right? Um, the pause is motion, right? Sometimes it's, walk around the block, get up and walk around the table, get up and go to the dish sink, go sit in the washroom for 2 minutes and take a breather. It doesn't matter. You just pause. Don't react. The idea is that we never want to react. We want to respond. When we respond, we're responding from a place of clarity. We're not responding because we want to get even with you or because we're angry and we want to hurt you first. We're not, when you respond instead of react, you can trust that that response was um, thought out. It was from clarity, and it was with the best intention. Right? When we react, most times that's when we feel that guilt, fear, shame, because we didn't do it the way we were hoping. Right? Um, that pause can literally save lives. And then pause before judging. Are you like looking at somebody, oh, why are they walking down the street that way? Why are they this? Our brains are always going to do that. Okay, it's going to happen. And instead of judging yourself for it, what happens is that's a programming, right? That's what happens through TV and commercials and all of the things, stereotypes, all the things we've learned. It's going to happen. That pops in your brain. Don't punish yourself for it. Laugh at yourself. Be like, well, that's just silly. Why does it matter to me how that guy's walking down the street, right? Uh, but instead of beating yourself up over it, understand that that's something that's been programmed into you for years and years and years. Don't punish yourself. Just literally pause. Well, like you're judging that. Okay, so why am I judging that? Maybe we shouldn't do that, right? Have a little laugh, being like, that's just silly, right? But you learn to let it go, right? Um, you're not spewing it out. You're not judging that person. It's always going to come to your mind. Things that happen is because it comes to your brain to show you that that's a programming that needs to be let go of. And when you start checking and understanding what those pauses mean, there's so much information in them, but you don't get to understand it until you actually take the time to sit with it. And then, of course, pause before filling the space. This light in the cracks, right? Uh, you're emptying. That light is pushing. It's clearing out that whole space, that block where everything you've been closed down and not wanting to take in. Well, what happens? That light comes through and is pushing out all that negativity and that vulnerable space, that space that feels uncomfortable. There's a lot of processing. There's a lot of noticing the shift. There's a lot of these things happening in the background, even without you doing the actual forefront work, which you still want to be able to do it, right? This is why I'm teaching you. So you can notice it. And in those pauses, you can say, this is already going on in the background. But what about here? How can I help it along? How can I process this? How can I empower myself to be part of the solution? Because I don't care what the problem is. You can complain about something all day long. You can hate it, not like it. But if you're not coming with a solution, you're part of the problem, right? And that doesn't mean we have to have the answer, but is there something I can do in my life that can help here? Is there a way that I can hold myself and live my life accordingly, um, that can be helpful or a positive part of the solution? That's what I mean by that. And it's very possible. And these little changes that we're making are part of the solution. And every time you choose to make these choices or to try these tools, you're part of the solution, which is very empowering. And the more you empower yourself, you know what happens? You do it. You show up. You be accountable. You're going to because you believe in it, right? And you believe in you. And each time it just makes you more and more accountable. So pause before filling the space because if you let it and sit with it and understand it and learn what each part of the process is, you allow space. You allow those bright ideas, those that beautiful scenery to get caught in your mind so you can paint it. Whatever it is, you allow space for it, right? Don't fill it. And then let it move. Okay, examples: cry, breathe, walk, sit in silence, go sit by a tree, you know, I have a rebounder, the little trampoline. You're angry or whatever, go jump on it for a few minutes. Go move, get up and move your body. Because those emotions, whatever it is, when it feels uncomfortable, you don't have to think and overthink. But when you get it, if you're someone like me that would get trapped in those overthinking, because I want to understand the why, the this, the that, which is, it's great to know and learn, but you can get caught in those loops, right? So what happens? You get up and you change the energy. It can be as simple as I'm sitting here talking to you, and then I start tapping my hand. We tap our forehead. We sit here. We drum our desk. Okay, it's just about creating movement and something different. Okay, you're starting to feel angry. Oh, look at the sun in the sky. And sometimes it's called sidestepping, which I have to use with my daughter a lot of times when she becomes overwhelmed. We're not ignoring it, we're not putting it away, but in the moment of the aggression, in the moment of the feeling overwhelmed, when we sidestep just enough, it allows us that space to breathe. Then we can notice the shift and we can pause for the shift, and then we can decide what action we want to do. Sometimes it is just cry. Sometimes it is breathe. Sometimes it's going to scream in the bathroom for 5 minutes because you're so frustrated. Try not to scare the neighbors too much, but sometimes it's laughing at yourself. Why am I being so serious over this? Why am I hindering myself when I know that I'm just going to try again? It's all I can do is try again. So am I going to beat myself up or am I going to celebrate where I actually got to? Right? There's a tool. It's an actual tool, and the more we do that and we start celebrating those things, the more we start using them. Not everything needs to be solved. Some things just need to be released. People that don't align, people that are going to mistreat you, or my favorite are the ones that are, I don't, they're committed to misunderstanding you. So no matter what you do, no matter what you say, uh, they're going to misunderstand you. They're going to take it the wrong way. They're going to do all of the things. Well, do you want to hold on to that? Do you want that in your life? Do you want to have to constantly fight to explain what you're trying to say for no reason, but because you have to prove something to somebody? Or do you want to stand in your own divine authority? Do you want to stand in your own power and say, no, uh, not everything aligns. Some things need to be released, and you just might happen to be something that has to be released. And when you learn to do it, you're not doing it out of negativity. You're not doing it because you wish hell on them. You wish bad. It doesn't align. And I don't have the energy for that. Learning how to release things with love, with peace, comes from understanding your own clarity and giving yourself compassion. And that's what's so important about these tools, because when we understand how to process and use them, um, we don't feel bad. There's no guilt, fear, or shame that goes with it, because we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything trying to hinder someone. We're not doing. There's no resentment. There's no anger. There's no nothing. It just doesn't align. It doesn't feel good, and I don't want to constantly deal with that. And I'm not saying what you're doing is bad. It does not feel good for me. So for me to just let you go on your way and me to go on mine, um, is personal empowerment. Where you learn how to advocate for yourself. That's These tools will teach you more than you could ever possibly imagine. Okay, so understanding not everything needs to be solved. Some things need to be released. And then tool 4: choose what stays. Does this belief stay? Does this pattern stay? Does this reaction stay? These are really important ones, because when you can recognize the pattern, uh, is it a good pattern? And sometimes it is a good pattern, right? If it's a good pattern, but this somewhere here along the pattern, there is a pivot and it goes from really good to really bad. Okay, where on the pattern is it? What can I do to pivot to get it stay good, right? And it's simple things, but you're going to have to notice it. You're going to use these tools 10,000 times a day when life is lifing, right? And the idea is that if one of these questions, if one of these suggestions stay and it piques your interest in that moment, when that anger comes up, when that fear comes up, when that kindness, that overwhelming thing that you don't really understand how it feels comes up, and this is what comes into your brain, then I've done my job. And I promise you, when it does, you're going to come back to it and be like, holy hell, that worked. I can't believe that that worked, but it worked. How do I learn more? And that's why I have the things that I've come up with, the programs and all that. I've been doing this. I've walked through this so many times. I could tell you blindfolded. Um, just like how Work Play Live could tell you about his app and all of the things and every little thing, backwards, forwards, blindfolded. Uh, just like they could explain to you exactly how it works, step by step by step by step. It's the same way I can tell you, because I've been through this, forward, backwards, through the mud, backflip, somersault, blindfolded, and over again. And these are the ones, they work every single time. Not some of the time, not half the time, every single time. You can always come back to it. And that's what's really important. So, um, these are just like simple examples. Kindness made you cry. Uh, you just realized you weren't used to softness. Like, it's so simple, right? Uh, it's okay to cry. You don't have to be sad or uncomfortable because you cried. You weren't used to softness. So, what needs to change in that, right? Maybe I need to be a little softer to myself. I need to learn to receive. I need to, you know, start showing up a little differently, because if that made me cry, I'm not getting enough of it. If I'm not getting enough of it, why? Because I should be the first step for my own kindness. Me showing up, looking in the mirror, saying, God, you're beautiful today. God, I love you, and you're worth everything in this world. And you're strong, and you're compassionate, and you're powerful, and you're creative, and you're going to do all of the things in this world. You should be hearing it so much from yourself that you don't even bat an eyelash. But if you can't fill your own cup with your kindness, every single time some random person does it for you, it's going to break your heart right to your soul. So, how do you integrate that? Start showing up. That made you cry. What action can I do? Start loving myself. Do those extra bubble baths. Do that little thing. If going out and getting your nails done, it's not always about spending money, but sometimes, you want to go get your nails done and you want to do something nice. You want to go have a facial. You want to take 20 minutes to yourself. You want to start an exercise routine. That is kindness to yourself. Giving yourself grace in these moments is a radical act of self love, right? You weren't used to softness. Okay, so how do you change that? You give it to yourself, you fill your cup first. Then you don't need to rely on anybody else to do it. And when someone does it, you know how to receive it because you're always giving and now you're able to receive because you're learning how to give it to yourself and you're always giving it to others. That's something you've been doing your whole life. That's never going to change. That's who you are. And it's the most beautiful part of who you are. So do that. Keep that cycle going and be open to receive. And if it's uncomfortable to receive, give it to yourself first. Show up every single time. That's a prime example. The space feels empty, it feels uncomfortable. Now you want to fill it, right? Because you don't know what to do. Start getting used to that void. Sit in that void. Give yourself time. Okay, it's because it's uncomfortable. So how do you get used to things that are uncomfortable? You keep doing them. Just like you step out of your comfort zone, right? You do it scared. You show up. You do it messy. These lives, sometimes I come on and they're an hour and it's done. And sometimes I get to talk to you guys and they go left and it just happens the way it happens, right? Um, and it can be uncomfortable if you're not sure what's going to happen. But if you learn to just trust and say, no matter what, it's going to be happy, there's going to be good things learned, good things shared. And of course, you get to talk to great people. So that uncomfortable isn't being filled. You're allowing that empty space, you're allowing that space to see what's going to happen. And when you start doing it like that, the curiosity, the excitement for the adventure fills that space instead of fear and uncomfortable and shame and all those things. The silence feels uncomfortable. You want distraction, right? You want to put on your earplugs and put on some music or do this, right? So you can distract your brain so you don't need to think about it. So, what are some things you can do to uh, confront that, to change that, right? If that's what you know, you always need distraction. So, maybe put your phone away and like put in your bag. Don't listen to anything for 20-minute drive of the day or um, like create time. I'm going to take 20 minutes today while I eat my lunch and I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to have any screen time. I'm not going to have anything. And I'm just going to sit here in peace and I'm going to focus on what each flavor of whatever it is I'm eating, I'm going to focus on that. Um, those things you get used to it and you start making that time for that and it empowers you to such a space that um, when those ideas come you're ready to jump on them, you can think about them immediately, you can do them, and this stuff starts happening so often that as fast as you can go, get your body moving, get your actions happening, those ideas are coming. Like there are times when I start doing things and my ideas go, I can't even get them down fast enough. Even I can't even spit them out fast enough. My brain goes so fast, I'm like, whoa, back it up, because I can't get it out fast enough. My whole mouth will be like, what am I trying to say right now? Because you know what it is, but you have to actually reel yourself in because you get so many in a day. It's because you've learned how to do the process and you understand. And so you're already processing, yeah, that's not good. Don't want to keep it. Don't want to keep it. Whoa, that's good. Where'd that one come from? Oh my God. And it becomes that a constant thing because you're trusting in yourself, because you believe in yourself, because your worth has gone up exponentially in your own mind, because to everyone else, to the world, to God, you're already priceless. But you need to start seeing yourself that same way. And when you start doing these things, that radical act of self love will change every single thing you do. All right. So that discomfort, it isn't failure, it's unfamiliar safety. And when you haven't been safe and understood that for so long, it's going to be uncomfortable. And then we want to normalize the process. This stuff that I'm telling you, these tools, these things, if I can normalize it and you can say, oh, yeah, I see that. I understand that. Yeah, she said that and it worked that time. Oh, wait, it worked this time too. Oh, shit, I feel better now. That one worked too. She knows what she's talking about because I've had to go through it 500 million times. You might open and close again. You might feel good, then overwhelmed. You might not know what to do next. Okay, it's not linear, it's layered. These tools are that you can take them with you and use them whenever you need them, right? And when you understand the layers and you use that tool and it worked for here, but now you feel stuck back here in this other layer, okay, start with the tools. What part of these tools that I have can I use on this layer? What is it that I need and how can I use that to empower? Do I need to give myself grace? Do I need to notice? Do I need more information? Do I need to just do the next step? You're not going to know until you pause with it, right? So always give yourself that space, whatever it is. And then the kindness cracked you open, okay? The light came through the cracks. That's where we're here now. And now you get to decide what grows there. And that's what is next week. That's the fire becomes creation. And it's pretty exciting. So